everybody, welcome to Into My GT Entertainment, and of course I am Joel. Nice to see y'all here on this lovely day, and today we are going to kind of do a comparison video with three of my cars. Yes, my three babies. We have Nightwing, we have Wasp, and of course good old Electra. So I'm going to go kind of over some of the things of more or less what the 24 brings to the table versus my 14 or my 22, and the variations of what my ideal driving purposes are for these cars, and just to have a good time and make a video. So we will catch you in a second. Now, in buying this car that we bought, the 24, that is pretty much a daily for my daily because of my electric car here. I bought it because in my eyes it's the last V8 powered combustible engine that's probably going to be available for a while, unless everybody turns tail and stays away from electric. But for the most part, I bought it to have a daily. I wasn't going to do much to it, but yeah, that's slowly changing and creating and manifesting like it always does. But until all that goes down, I just want to give you a comparison kind of between Electra, Wasp, and Nightwing, and to show you what I use it for mainly when I do drive, because I don't drive a lot. So a lot of times they're just lawn ornaments or in the garage or what have you. But anyway, not to any point there. We're going to get to it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start with Electra over here and give you kind of a rundown on her and when I bought her, why I bought her, and how it manifested to what she is today. This is my 2014 California Special Mustang GT. When I bought this car, I was out of Mustangs for a tad bit, had kids. You know, the life stuff happened, and I got it because I was driving a WRX STI and I didn't feel right in it. I had it for 2 months and it wasn't a good fit for me. Wasn't part of that gang, so I ended up with a Mustang. Again, this thing went 180 degrees of what it was, and let me just show you some of the things that I've done to it. Okay, so one of the things I did when I first got this car was put a stereo in it. I have 3 rules back in the day. It was, well, actually 4. It was wheels, tires, suspension, tint, and stereo. I've gotten kind of off the track with the stereos because newer cars now, you can't really do too much with it. You could add on to it, but the head units and stuff like that are kind of in what they are, or you know, you're gonna have to do a whole crazy revamp. And believe it or not, the newer systems don't sound as bad as they did. Now I do have a touch point on that later, but let me just get with this car. So this car right here had the whole stereo redone. When I got this car, they had it for about a month or so, doing everything to it. Got the custom boxes you saw. The whole car is dynamated. Has a Kenwood Exelon stereo, which kind of went through a couple variations of it, but that's what it looks like. I have it off right now. Had some pillars built in on either side, and it's kind of funny, these were done in 2014 and now the 15s and up have them in the windows. So I guess I was on to something at some point, right? But as you can see, everything looks stock on the interior. If you got in here and someone blindfolded you, and you would think it was just a normal GT. It is all a focal system from front to back. Everything, every speaker in here is a focal. So it was something I wanted to try different. I would usually went with, you know, an Alpine or a JL or whatever was hot at that moment, you know. But these are really clean. And like I said, this one wasn't made to go boom 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 down the road. You know, it was kind of just for clarity, good sound, and I knew what I had plans with the other stuff, so I wanted something that, you know, would help bump up the volume a little bit, as you would say. Just one more look back here. As you can see, these are actually 11-inch focals. They're powered by the Rockford Fosgates. One is an 1000 watt, one is an 800 watt. The 800 watt runs everything inside. The 1000 watt runs everything outside. The box itself, I have it turned off, is illuminated. So it is with LED lights all in it, so it shines at night. These are LED lit. And this is a piece of fiberglass like this that was brushed down to give it that frosted glass look. So yeah, and then I do have that switch right there to turn it off at any time I want, but it is on the trunk switch, so when I do close my trunk, it turns off, so you don't have to worry about it running in the background or what have you. So that is one thing I did when I got this car. Wheels and tires. Every car of mine goes through this phase. Those are my wheels and tires that are on Pam's car. This is about the 14th set, if I lost count, of wheels and tires, and I kind of like these. I like the way they contrast with the car. I kept my emblem on chrome on this one, so it kind of, you know, works pretty good with that. And then some of the accent pieces and yada yada yada. So wheels and tires always a thing I've done. And then of course you can't miss the big centerpiece here, the 2.9 Whipple. I want to say is a 2nd gen, might be a 3rd gen, I can't remember. It runs great. It's on pump gas, 716 horsepower. I can't complain. I don't dog it every day. I don't mess with it like a lot of people do. That's probably why I've gotten such longevity on it. The car has just broken 40,000 miles, and it still runs pretty good. And it has its little innuendos and, you know, little quirks of different things, how it feels, and, you know, the rear end makes a little bit of noise, and, you know, but any time that you're going to go change suspension or get into a car, you're going to have to expect that it's not going to ride factory. But for the most part, this has been up and down the East Coast a few times. It drives fine. Get it on the interstate, it drives like any other car. Put your foot in it, it'll go. This is my go fast car. And like I said, there's nothing more I could say about than what y'all probably already know. It is my pride and joy. I do love this car. It'll never be out of my possession that I know of. I have always talked about, you know, sometimes going through it and, you know, maybe upgrading or having different car or something, but I think this one's always going to be in my stable. I kind of did this by hand with some buddies. You know, we did it all here in my garage. So for the most part, the Whipple was done here, the suspension, everything that you see. The stereo was obviously opted out because I didn't have the resources for that, but I do have the know-how to do some of it. You know, I had Jay do some of my exhaust work. So there's been little hands and everything with this car. If I had people autograph it, it would be all over the place. But we did. If anybody ever gets my car one day, if I'm dead and gone, lift up this thing, under there's signatures of everybody that worked on my car. It's kind of cool. It's an Easter egg, so you never know if it'll be looked at, but we'll see where it goes. So we'll move over to Nightwing. All right, let's have a little discussion about Nightwing, which was my daily for Electra. Yeah, show you how that went. So with this car, I did buy it per se as my daily driver, but with the idea that I was going to do some tweaks to it. Now, of course, you know, me being me, went a little far and off of the beaten path, but you know what? This is still a great car, runs great, family car. You can do what you need to do with it, and it's kind of nice to look at too. So let me talk about the elephant in the room here. All right, I call it the elephant in the room, but a lot of people do not like the running boards on this car. Why, I don't know. You know, it's all to each their own, but I think it adds a nice little flavor to it that you won't get from just a flat door panel. Me being short, the car is lowered and it's not really necessary, and half the times I skip over it anyway. But when washing the roof or helping my mom in the car, I cart her around, that extra little oomph does help. Pam uses it. Like I said, we're a small Hobbit family, so it kind of works for us. It don't work for everybody, but for us, it does what it needs to do. All right, so over here in the motor compartment, we did the intake, we did the oil separator, new strut tower brace. The old one was fine, but in the kit that came with the lowering kit for this, it brought the strut tower brace with it. So we went ahead and went with that. Nightwing is the name. As you can see, I'm rocking some Belgians on here. If you would like to know the names, I will put it in the description for you. These are the VF9s right there, and these are the VF10s, but we'll get to these momentarily. It's Atlas blue, and like I said, it's been lowered. It's got upgraded brakes on it. It has a cross drill rotors and new ceramic pads. Still rocking the normal caliper setup. I did put my Brembo stickers on there, but you know, it is what it is. I'm perpetrating, sue me. You know, it is what it is. For the most part, everything on the outside of the car is pretty much the same. I did put mud flaps on it just to give it that little look. The Belgian wheels, it's wrapped in Nitto tires, and it does have an intercooler in it also. It has the upgraded intercooler, which is right here, and it is about that wide and about, I don't know, from my hand to my bumper down. So it's definitely an upgrade. It has front and rear sway bars in it, so it handles like a champ. It's tuned by ZFG Racing. It does have a 93 race tune. It does have a E50 tune. I did the Borla rear exhaust, black tip, and then for the most part, that's what the car is. Nothing too magical and special, but it is a high 11 car truck, that is. Like I said, it runs really good. I've had some problems with, you know, manufacturer stuff like the sunroof and stuff like that, but you know, it has been corrected and the car is good to go. And like I said, I love this truck. Everything I wanted to do with it, I've done with it, and it looks pretty sharp, and it's a good family vehicle. And if someone messes with you on the interstate, you can hurt some feelings with it. All right, last but definitely not least, we have Wasp. Now, Wasp is something that kind of came about out of a whim. Me and the wife and son were talking about it, and it kind of manifested different color. A whole lot of different things happened with it. But I was going to get another Atlas blue one with the red calipers to match Nightwing. Kind of glad it didn't go that route, because this yellow pops. And I know Minion's got a yellow car and it kind of looks similar, but it's two different cars. I think Minion can beat this car the way it sits at the moment. At the moment, that is. But the way, I mean, you put this in a lineup of cars, you're definitely going to see it from anywhere. So it's definitely a nice change of color pattern I have anyway. The swatch is a little different. But let me get into that car. All right, here is Wasp, my 2024 Mustang GT, naturally aspirated for the time being. Nothing major has been done motor-wise to it. Motor-wise, I can't even talk. But as you can see, everything is in there. They did with the twin throttle bodies. I did add the catch can because it's kind of something I do in all my cars. Look at any of them, they all have the catch can in it. This is kind of what it looks like. Nothing too fancy going on at the moment, but for the most part, it has an active heat sink. That is actually an active heat sink. I've seen steam, not steam, but you know, in the summer or whatever, you see the little waves coming up. You definitely see that being active. And here it is, the tray that sits over. So, and it does have weep holes, so when it does rain, it goes down, it doesn't go into your motor. So that is the motor compartment of this car. Now I am going to make a video of like the 5 things or the differences and yada yada yada, but there's something I wish that it did have that it doesn't have, and it just might be my personal opinion. Fog lights. I think it should have had fog lights. Maybe they just ran out of space to put it, or the way that the lights are, you know, just kind of have that Mustang feel. Mustangs have always had fog lights, some sort of fog lights. That has fog lights. The GTs have fog lights. Brandon's car, the 15s, have fog lights in their turn signals. So why they decided to go out of that path, I don't know. Maybe it's location, because like down here you have, you know, all the electronic stuff for the crash sensor. You know, if you're getting too close, you got to have this opened up, you know, for airflow. These are actually active, so they go right into the canisters, so that couldn't be blocked. So maybe it was just location issues with it, but I think they should have worked it in somewhere. Like this side is totally blocked out because of the ECU that sits in that corner. Well, this side is totally open, but you have I want to say it's either a transmission or brake cooler or oil cooler, something is right there, right behind that screen. You think that would be something that you would need to protect too, but I get that, obviously. So let me go on to some of the things I've done to this car. One of the first things that you probably notice that this is a track pack car, and it did have the track pack wheels on it. They were 19 by 75, 275s in the rear, and they were 19 by 255s in the front. They did look good on the car, and I still have them there in the back of the garage. But I've always been a 20-inch rim guy, and this is the reason. You see the fulfillment in this car, no spacers. They tuck in nicely, and the 20s, they ride really good. You probably have a softer ride with the 19s, but these handle really well. They're on the NT 555s. I usually run Firehawks on my cars, at least on all the Mustangs I got Firehawks. But to get a 315 that is in the rear, the Firehawks don't make it. So I went with the Nittos for that. So these are, as I stated earlier, the VF 10s by Belgian. They're the lightweight series. They kind of look like the ones over there, don't they? Yeah, but they're a little different. These are the VF 9s. As you can tell, they're like the 2-spoked on each. Well, these are the 1-spoke, but there's 10 spokes there. Easy wheels to keep clean, not too terrible. So what we have done, we have lowered the car on Steeda Pro Magnaride springs. We do have the camber plates in it, so we can have some adjustment, because with these cars there's no side-to-side camber movement. So the car would sit the way it normally sit. And for feature use, and I don't know if I'm gonna be like Brandon and Derek and go buck wild, but you know, I might put this on a track one day, and it might manifest from them. But if not, I have the building block already set for it, and if I don't, maybe the next driver will, or you know, you never know what's going to happen with this car. So we're going to go ahead, and we did that, and I got it aligned, and as you can see, pretty much straight up and down. Coming back to the rear, as I stated, it is a 305 in the back, and these cars swallow up 305s. You couldn't tell that was a 305. I mean, this one right here has a 315. This has a 305, and that has a 315, and that swallowed up into the fender and everything. So I don't know if it's the way that these wheels are offsetted, or just the way the nature of the S650, S550 is. Because Brandon's look pretty good too, and his has 305s on the RTRs. So that looks pretty decent. I like the stance of it. So it does look pretty good. Naming it, that took me a minute. I did want to name it Sunset. By the time I got around to naming the car, that plate was gone. I wanted to get a Jimmy Buffett plate because here in Virginia there's like a Parrot Jimmy or Parrot plates. You have to use 6 letters, which I could have used it with this, but it doesn't kind of go with it. But it had a little Parrot with the same color of the car in the scheme, so it would have looked kind of cool, but everybody was against sunset. The color itself, when the sun is out, it looks like a sunset because it's not a yellow, it's like an orangey yellow. It's the yellow splash, and it pops, man. It pops. Can't really complain about that too much. Exhaust. The only thing that is done to this exhaust right now is mid pipe, is the C to H pipe that is in there. Back to where I was saying where I wasn't going to do much of this car. Well, I got Cook's headers in the house. When they get on this car, I don't know. I'm trying to open her up for future use. Because in my plans, I do plan on putting a blower on it at some point. Probably another Whipple. I'm not a turbo guy. And, you know, getting cars set up for turbos are kind of, you know, whatever. But I'm waiting for everything to get opened up so you can get them tuned. Right now, Whipple is tunable through Whipple and Ford, but that's the only one. So I'm going to hold off a little bit and wait till next year, because I'm sure that these cars will open up and be tunable. And then when that happens, you know, sky is the limits of what you can do with these cars. I think they're going to be pretty strong. To get 800-900 horsepower, just put a blower on it, you know, probably just a tune, you probably don't even have to go 93. I mean E85. But with these cars, you could probably go E85 pretty simple. So like I said, I see 1,000 horsepower cars all day long with these. But I'm not trying to go that route with that, because I got a 716 horsepower go fast straight car. I got your grocery getter right here, butt dyno telling me probably around 500 horsepower, the way it sits and the way it launches. I could be wrong, but you know, until I can find an all-wheel dyno that isn't going to rip me off or try to, you know, gouge me to get this thing run on, we'll never know. And this thing, if I could get this thing probably 600s, you know, NA, I'll be happy with it. It's slow as dirt compared to that and that. And like I said, but what it doesn't get for speed, it has for looks. And like I said, Steeda helped me with a lot of stuff on there. I got the quad exhaust, the active exhaust, and everything else. I wish they did have black tip exhaust, because I think that would look a little better, because everything is black and yellow on this car. But you know, beggars can't be choosers, and I guess maybe one day they'll have some cool active exhaust that I could just switch the module, and then hey, it'll work just the same. But until that point, this is what we got. All right, and I did get the car tinted. It's 5% on the back 3, 15 on the sides, and it does have an eyebrow of it's either 15 or 5. I don't know exactly what it is. The roof is painted black because of the package, and there is my Wasp sticker right there that I had made. Like I said, it's kind of, these ends right here are probably washing it. It's going to eventually tear it apart, so I'll probably think of a better design, or maybe get something a little thicker, or maybe omit some of this stuff. But for the most part, I do like that. You know, I didn't want to go something crazy all through the back window or on the hood, or something down the side of the car or whatever, but you know, it is what it is, and I think it looks pretty good. Interior, you know, it's kind of basic besides these screens. It is a S550 pretty much interior. It has air cooled seats. You know, I got the carbon fiber shift knob that came out of Brandon's car, because when he changed shifters it wouldn't work for his, but of course it fit in this one. It's kind of plain right there in the middle. Everything's been moved up to the dashboard, and you know, and into the screens, and you know, all your air controls and everything you do in life is done up there. So when those go bad, or you have some type of technical glitch, I guess we're all going to be in some trouble. But for the most part, it's pretty clean inside. You have the custom seat belts. I think they all have with the striping on it. Brandon wanted to get the red ones with the white, I believe is what it was, and it probably would have looked good because of the black, the calipers that are red, but I didn't feel like waiting for it. I think there was a hold time on them, so I didn't want to get into that. You do have a phone charger right there. I think it's garbage. I don't know if anybody else has issues with it. It'll charge your phone, but your phone will get hot, and then if your phone moves around a little bit, it'll charge, not charge, charge, not charge. So I went back to Old Faithful, got a cord. It's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and Apple CarPlay wirelessly, so you don't need to hook it to anything for it to work. So I'd kind of do that and just leave it in the cup holder, and we're pretty much straight. So that is pretty much this car. But let me get into the little things I wanted to talk about. Well, look who just showed up. Mr. Minion himself. I swear this boy doesn't work. He's always coming in. But anyway, now we got two big birds up in this house. One right there and one right there. All right, everybody, so that is this video. What I wanted to talk about was with Wasp. The main reason I bought Wasp was for a daily. This isn't really dailyable, so I bought this over here to daily because of that. So that has a mind of its own now, which is still dailyable. I mean, it's better gas mileage than both of those cars together. Hold tight, got a bus coming. Okay, so again, flashback. This is the daily that car. So did all that stuff, did work to this car, and like I said, both of them were dailyable. Don't get me wrong, just because that has a lot of horsepower, you can still drive it every day. Like I said, it's on pump gas. I don't have any problems finding a gas station or doing anything with it. But the car is roughly 10 years older than this car. And the reason why I know we're not in 2024 yet, but I bought this one October of 2013. I bought this one October of 2023. So they're roughly 10 years apart. The differences in these cars will probably, you know, have another video for that. You know, I'll go through, maybe I'll do it on her car because her car is more factory than this car. But like I said, we're going to do that type of scenario, you know, the then and now type deal with these cars eventually. It would help if I had someone to hold the camera for me, because then that way I can get into it a little more, but that's a whole different story. So this car, that daily for that. Now this is a daily for both. I bought this car with just the intention, like I said earlier in the video, because of the power plant. We don't know if we're going to have many more V8s in this world. Government's kind of stupid, and I'll say that. It's just, you know, everybody's worried about this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I think they just need something to bitch about. And cars are just something simple they can talk about. So anyway, last V8, possibly, in the Ford. So, like I said, that's one of the reasons why I got this car. Color-wise, I wasn't sold on the yellow till I got the yellow. And I'm glad I did, because it's definitely an eye catcher. People see you, they recognize the car. So I mean, if you don't want to be noticed so much, then I would stay away from a yellow car, but for the most part, it's pretty nice ride. Even after lowering this car and the stance that it has now, it is static, but it rides beautifully with the Magna Ride. And it might be the Magna Ride that makes it ride so well. I've never had a Magna Ride car, So, you know, it's kind of new for me. And this one handles totally different than that one. Rear axle, independent suspension. You know, things are a little different in these cars. They might have had the same building block at one point. You know, this and this are probably more so a match than these two would be. But, you know, maybe I'll make a video of that too. The 15 versus the 24. You know, this was born off of that. So what changes happen between here and there, but everybody knows that car isn't very factory these days either. And he's gone through a little turmoil with his stuff, breaking transmissions and axles and whatever. I guess he bought it to drive it, and that's what he's been doing, right? So I can't fault him for that. But this car again was bought for my daily. I have 800 miles and I've had it 2 months. So that should tell you how much is being driven. That car is right around 7,000 miles on it, and I've had it since 22 probably around this month. So August I think is when I got it. So, and that has right at 40 being 10 years old. So I don't do a lot of excessive driving, and I kind of spread it across all the cars now. And then if I'm not driving these, I got that one down there, which is supposed to be for my daughter, but she won't ever freaking drive. She doesn't have a license. It is a V6, but it is this body style. I did change the front end, the wheels, and, you know, did the normal stuff you do to the Mustang. Slow as dirt, but you know, it's definitely a nice looking car when you get into it. Yeah, I'm losing track quick, aren't I? So to sum up the video, daily fast car, daily SUV to replace fast car so I could not drive fast car as much, and daily this. Daily for fast car so I can daily this more and less on that, and then less here. I don't know, I'm just driving these cars, so it is what it is. We're gonna go ahead and shut down this video now, but if there's any questions, like I said, this was just a fun little video, little here and there stuff, and, you know, kind of rolling back a little bit. And I'm gonna have more thought out videos. I was just sitting around the house and had a little bit of time, and I thought I would get out here and throw out a video and, you know, show you some Wasp, show you some Nightwing, show you some Electra, you know, and then we'll go from there. So if you like this type of video, I know, like I said, it's kind of scatterbrained a little bit, but, you know, that's kind of my lifestyle these days. Everything's gone freaking bonkers. But I do want to say one thing. Out of these three cars, Electra, Wasp, Nightwing, what do you think is my favorite car? What do you really think it is? Is it the 716 horsepower Whippled supercharged Mustang California Special? Is it my probably roughly 500 horsepower ST Explorer? Or is it my new Wasp, which is my 2024 Mustang GT? Says it's 486 horsepower. We might run it on the dyno here this weekend. It's probably 3 and some change or low 400s, but we're going to get that power up at some point. What do you think is my favorite? My answer might surprise you. To answer that question, it is Nightwing. Believe it or not, I love this SUV. This thing is awesome. I love it. I love the way it drives. I love the pickup on it. I love that I can have more people in it. Like I said, it's no slouch. It's great. You know, you could travel in it. I took it down to Myrtle Beach this year versus taking one of my Mustangs. My wife took Electra down. It was the most comfortable ride. Had massage seats, heated steering wheel, cooled. It's got all the amenities in it. So at this point, for drivability and just everyday use, that one is definitely my first choice. And then Electra, and then the new Mustang. I have to get more in tune with the new Mustang. I've been driving it a little more now, just to get more feeling into it, get into it. Because like I said, I know how to drive Electra. I know how that car feels. I know what mannerisms it has. If it kicks out, it does this, and you know, I could figure that part out. I haven't driven Wasp enough to feel out all the quirks and how it turns and how it feels around this, that, and the other. I know it feels good, but you know, for the most part, you know, it's kind of trial and error and trying to figure. I haven't even done a burnout in it yet. Jake's got his car up to freaking 4,000 miles already and been putting Christmas lights and doing burnouts and everything else with it. So like I said, it's one of those crazy things how people treat their cars. Mine will probably be new forever. They'll probably go through 4 cars before I get through any of these. But with that being said, this is the end of the video again, and we will catch you on the next one. This is in my GT Entertainment, and I'm glad that y'all came by, stopped by, and we'll see you on the next one.